Atlanta fans, welcome to that Atlanta sports show. Not just any sports show, not this sports show, but that Atlanta sports show. I'm your host, Jeremy, the Impact York from the Magic Halo in Atlanta. It's time to talk some United and some Falcons. That's what we do here on that Atlanta sports show. We talk all about the Atlanta Falcons, all about Atlanta United, both in very pivotal places in their seasons. And if you want to follow the show, you can go to YouTube, impact underscore media underscore. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave comments, suggestions, questions, whatever you want to leave there. We appreciate it. We do see all the feedback. I do my best to get back to all of it. If you want to follow me or find other ways to get to the show, the Impact 99 on any of the social medias, we'll get to this guy and we'll get right along to that. Now, tonight, I want to talk a little. I want to start with Atlanta United. Atlanta United currently sits in 12th. That's not the world's best place. Got to be top nine, I believe, to make the playoffs. Um, so what can they do? They are currently technically in a three-way tie at 10th, but they are technically 12th because of the tiebreakers. They are in a virtual tie with Toronto and Philadelphia, and they trail DC and Montreal in that order for 8th and ninth. So, how can they get in? It's pretty simple. It's simple but complicated. First off, you need to win. This week, you face Orlando City in Orlando, and they are moving and grooving. They are also your rival, but they are moving and grooving. This Saturday at 6 p.m. down in Orlando. So when this game will kick off. It's one of the earlier games, so I don't think there's any we really have to sweat out for the most part. But we'll just kind of go on a team by team basis as to what needs to happen. It is my understanding that if DC and Montreal need to lose, because that will keep them at 40 points. If Uh, so let's say that happens. DC and Montreal. Montreal is playing at home versus New York City FC, NYCFC. That's a coin flip game, but go NYCFC. DC United will be hosting Charlotte. Those teams are pretty even too. I give the nod to Charlotte. Um, but we need losses from DC and Montreal. We luck out that Toronto has played all of their games. They have no more games left to play. No more games whatsoever left to play. So they are just kind of sitting there. So we can leapfrog them without that. And we need Philadelphia to lose or draw. A draw helps us as long as we win. So if we win, we'll be up to 40 points. We'd be technically tied with DC and Montreal. And if and Toronto didn't do anything, so they stayed where they are. And Philadelphia, whether they won or draw, they will be 37 or 38 points. They will be below us. So what does that do? How do we know that we are going to get in? I believe the tiebreaker is goal differential, to which we are at -4. DC is at -15, and Montreal is at -18, meaning outside of the craziest, most idiotic score, well, outside of score you've ever seen, they're not going to catch us in goal differential. So if that indeed is the tiebreaker, then we need Atlanta to win, we need DC to lose, Montreal to lose, Philly to lose or draw. That's not that far fetched, and I believe we will sneak in. I believe at the 9 if we do that, maybe the 8. Be interesting. Um, but that's what we're looking at. And we say it every week. The ups and downs of this team, I think they're just really starting to hit their stride and really starting to hit their groove given the players that they have. Keep in mind, um, I like Daniel Rios as much as anybody, but he's on loan and he's not sticking around. It's not his call. The loan's being recalled, but Daniel Rios is going back to his home squad after this season. So you're gonna need a striker. Now the good thing is, I believe you have two open designated player spots, DP spots. You have at least one right now, but I do believe you're gonna have a second one. You definitely want to go striker. Other one, based off what you keep and what you sign, definitely want to go get a striker though, because the rest of these guys are they're more than panning out. I hate how people say that. Oh, these guys are really panning out. It's not. It's not call it that. I would say Saba Lobanese, home run, home run of a pick. Not only is he scoring goals, but fantastic work he does. Jamal Tiari, I'll give him some credit because he's sort of out of position as a striker, but he was put there, and between him and Rios, have actually done a pretty decent job of putting points on the board. Alexei Moranchuk being able to start the season here with a full off season and everything, I think is just going to make him that much better as he's kind of the new Almada as far as he's got a rocket of a shot from the top of the box, but he's also really good at placing crosses where they need to go. Um, Stian Gregerson, I would say it was a big hit. Uh, Johnny Fortune and I don't know. You could make arguments for some other people. I mean, clearly Brad Guzan had a good day. Had a good year. Derek Williams in the back. That's another one. Brooks Lennon, kind of hard of the team, but we'll see what this team looks like in 4 weeks because we're gonna make the playoffs. You heard it here. Atlanta United's gonna be in the playoffs. They're gonna wreck some people. They're gonna make it at least a couple rounds before they really hit a wall. And I think this team can kind of sneak their way into it. And I really hope that they do. And I know you guys hope that they do as well. But like I said, it's been a weird year, been the last couple years where it seems like you're trying to find the right pieces and put them into the puzzle. I think you've found a lot of the pieces, and a couple of them are just a signing or so away. We'll see what happens with Garth leading the way kind of solo because I don't think Rob Valentino is going to be your full-time coach. I said that last time. I still believe it. Appreciate everything Rob has done. I think if he's not named the head coach, I think he's going to move on, which is a bummer, but I get it. I totally get it. Because he deserves a head gig. I think they're going to hire a coach probably a week or two after the season is officially over. So if that's if that's Saturday, then I would say maybe maybe by the end of the month. But since I just told you we're gonna get in the playoffs, I think by the end of November there'll be a new coach in Atlanta, and then they'll pick the new front office guy for whatever his role is going to actually be. I think Garth is going to take more of the burden on himself, and the personnel person that they put up there, I think, will have a interesting, unique role. I think that's where they're at. But we'll talk about all that later because, as I said, Atlanta United's making the playoffs. That's why I'm wearing my United shirt. Could have wore a Falcon shirt. Instead, I'm wearing the United shirt because they are going to make the playoffs. Speaking of somebody who's going to make the playoffs, the Falcons are going to make the playoffs because I still believe they're going to win their division. Seems to me the best team in the division is the Falcons. The second best is the Bucks. The Saints are a step behind or so, and the Panthers are starting to do some things, but they're already looking at next year. That's just how that's looking. As far as our Falcons, they got the win. Seems to be the theme all week, though, that not all wins are pretty. It was a ugly win. Bijan had 2 touchdowns. It's their third straight victory versus the NFC South because they run the South. Um, 38-20. A lot of people are like, well, I mean, it was, yeah, it was. It was a lot closer than I would have liked it to be. Kirk Cousins, 19 for 30, 225, and a touchdown. It's because their run game was on it. Because they had Tyler Algier with 18 carries, 105 yards, and a touchdown. Bijan with his 2 touchdowns, 95 yards on 15 carries. The two-headed monster was absolutely that for the Carolina defense. They had nothing that they could do against either one. Every time they tried to stop one, the other go flying past them. Drake London, Kyle Pitts were your big receivers. First time all year, Darnell Mooney was not as involved, but it was the way the game played out. The run game was on fire. Didn't need to dial up your favorite target in Darnell Mooney. Um, I felt like the defense did a pretty good job. Sure, they give up 20 points, but Andy Dalton can move the ball. And Carolina's talented enough where they can as well. I think Bryce Young got a short end of the stick. I think if he sits and learns a little more, especially under Andy Dalton, either late this year or to start next year, Bryce Young is back as your quarterback. I don't care who's offering you what, because what are you going to do? You're going to ride with Andy Dalton the rest of the year, and then you're going to draft a guy and try this again. You know what you have in Bryce Young. You keep Bryce Young. And if you have one of those top picks, you dump it to somebody else. Let them go get somebody. No reason not to. I said, pretty good day from the defense. I felt like they were putting a lot of pressure on Andy Dalton and on the offense. And just overall, solid day. I'll take 38-20. There's a lot of teams that would take 38-37. I'll take 38-20. You move them to 1-5. You're 4-2. You're 3 full games ahead of the Carolina Panthers right now, which is a good place to be. Um, Young Ho Koo hit all of his field goals. Didn't have a whole lot of big ones because you were moving the ball, hit all of his extra points. Bradley Pinion only needed a punt one time, and he kicked a 52-yard bomb that flipped the field. You can't ask for any more than that. Let's go to the standings real quick. Well, the standings, there they are. I know Falcons on top. Falcons are on top because of the tiebreaker. They are tied with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4-2. New Orleans at 2-4. Told you they were a couple steps back. And Carolina bringing up the caboose. What does week 7 look like for our Dirty Birds? Our Dirty Birds are, there they are, hosting the Seattle Seahawks, who are only 3-3. They're in an interesting situation as well. That's a 1 p.m. game on Fox. Atlanta is a 3-point favorite. Well, if they're at home. So they, meaning the ESPN Sportsbook, which is who I'm currently relying on the numbers from, would say that on a neutral field, so if the Falcons and Seahawks played this game in Tucson, Arizona, if they played this in Essex, England, they played this in Essex, these teams would be virtually even. Don't know that I agree with that. I think the Falcons, I would give them about a 2 to 3 point nod. Like I said, Falcons are a 3 point favorite here. I would make them a five, 5 point. I'd give them a couple points. I think they're just a tick better than Seattle. They definitely have a chance to win this game. Seattle has had an interesting go of it. Let's bring up their schedule real quick. Producer Sassy is on top of that. There we go. Their losses were to the 49ers, great defense, the Giants, good defense, the Lions, good defense, and they beat the Dolphins, Patriots, and Broncos. Dolphins pretty good defense. But it seems like when they go against the better defenses, they come up on the short end of the stick of that one. They are 3-3, like I said. They started off 3-0, have dropped the last three. They are looking to right the ship. They probably think they can do that against the Falcons. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. The keys to this game, the three keys, I want to come up with something else. Everybody says keys. The three wings. Because we're talking about Falcons. The three wings. The three wings. Wing number one. Use the two-headed monster of Algier and Bijan Robinson and use them to your absolute advantage. Um, use them as the two-headed monster, establish the run early, and keep Seattle stepping forward. Because when they step forward, you'll be able to catch those guys down the sideline and up the seam, and you're going to score tons and tons of points. Um, wing number two, you got to win the turnover battle. You can't turn the ball over against somebody like Seattle and expect to win. You can't turn the ball against a lot of people, but Seattle is good at capitalizing all the way back into the early Pete years. Um, so you can't bounce the ball on the turf. You can't tip the ball into their hands. You can't do it. Can't make those mistakes. And number three, you got to pressure Geno Smith or whoever their quarterback happens to be. At this point, it's Geno Smith. You got to pressure him. He is pretty good at scrambling. He's got a good arm. He has gotten better over the years. He is not the throwaway people think he was, but you have to pressure him and um, keep him off balance. Make him make decisions before he wants to make them. I think if you do those things, then we're going to be talking about a Falcons victory next week. And I'll go ahead and say it. We're going to be talking about a Falcons victory next week. We're going to be talking about Atlanta United in the playoffs. Those are the two things that I do believe about, as far as this show. Those are two things I believe. Atlanta United is going to be in it in the playoffs, and the Falcons are going to be 5-2. But we've reached the end of the show. Appreciate everybody watching that Atlanta Sports Show this week. We will be back next week, as I said, to talk about two victories and how great both teams looked. But until then, we will see you guys next week. Deuces, gooses. Go Falcons. Go United.